Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's call. We will be giving people about another 2 minutes to go ahead and get logged in. Thank you for your patience, and we will get started in a couple minutes. Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's SAP Community Call, where we will be discussing the SAP Cloud SDK update. This call is part of a regular monthly series that occurs at this time every first Tuesday of the month. Henning will be getting us started today, and then we will be handing off to Elisabeth. So I'm going to hand over to Henning first to give a quick introduction of his team before we move into today's content. If you have any questions for the panelists throughout the session today, please do utilize the Q&A window. If you need help with your Zoom connection or anything logistical, please do utilize the chat. My name is Jamie Langscove, and I am part of the SAP community team, so I'm happy to help you out with that part of it. And without further ado, I will hand over to Henning.
Thank you, Jamie, and welcome also from my side. My name is Henning. I'm product owner for the SAP Cloud SDK and happy to welcome you to today's community call about topics that are new in the SAP Cloud SDK and in the broader ecosystem of building extensions on SAP Cloud Platform. And that's specifically also the topic of today. So we will not discuss in detail a feature of the SDK, but more a capability of SAP Cloud Platform that together with the SDK makes it very easy to build extensions to SAP solutions on SAP Cloud Platform, and that is the SAP Cloud Platform Extension Factory. And for that, I have with me in the call Elisabeth, my colleague, who will later introduce SAP Cloud Platform Extension Factory and show what it's all about and how it helps building extensions on SAP Cloud Platform. And we have as well Ina and Rui from the Extension Factory team on the call for any background and questions that you may have. So you have the experts here today to ask everything you always wanted to know about Extension Factory. That's the main topic for today. However, I'll first start with briefly introducing what's new in the SAP Cloud SDK since the last update call, a regular agenda point that we'll always take a look at in this community call. And then, as mentioned, Elisabeth will talk about Extension Factory. I'll then quickly show how to leverage Extension Factory together with the SAP Cloud SDK, and also throughout and at the end we have time for questions, should there be any. So before we dive into today's topic of Extension Factory, let me quickly walk you through what's new in the SAP Cloud SDK, what has happened in the last month. The details you can find, of course, as usual, in our release blogs for the past month, but I'll focus here on the highlights. The absolute, the most important highlight probably of this week or of this month is the release of the SAP Cloud SDK for Java in the new major version 3.0. So we've released this version just last week, and this version represents, of course, a big next step for the SDK for Java, brings new features, modernizes the SDK for Java, and gives us additional capabilities. A few of those listed here. For example, it's easier to leverage the SDK outside of requests, for example, in background jobs, when we're reacting to events and messages, when executing background tasks, schedule tasks, etc., and also executing code on behalf of certain users, tenants, etc. All that got much easier through the modernization of the SDK for Java with the version 3 that we've introduced. We've also replaced Hystrix as a resilience implementation with a more functional style-oriented resilience for J, and in general also revamped the concept there to make it more broadly applicable and easier to use in a functional style. We have also new destination concepts besides other features that allows you to also construct those destinations manually, and of course in addition to talking to the destination service. These are just a few of the very high-level points about version 3. More details can be found in the blog posts that are linked here in the slides, to which you can get access afterwards together with the recording. The one of the next update calls we'll likely use as part of this community call series to give more insights into what is new with version 3 of the SDK for Java. The SDK for JavaScript, in there we have also released a couple of new versions with exciting new features like executing any HTTP request, so not just OData requests, but any HTTP request against the destination, where the SDK as usual takes care of all the lower level activities to interact with the destination service, apply authentication, and connect with the remote system. And that's, as mentioned now, not only possible for OData requests, but any HTTP request. We also, in that spirit, introduced support for OAuth2 client credentials, one of the authentication flows supported on SAP Cloud Platform, and we've introduced support for today's topic, the SAP Cloud Platform Extension Factory, just in the last release for JavaScript. So it's very fitting that we today can already take a look at this and how it works also together with the SDK later. In addition, we've brought other features like retrieving and verifying authentication tokens in the form of JOT, and we've published 2 new tutorials, or 1 tutorial series on how to use the OData client that the SAP Cloud SDK for JavaScript brings, and another for how to use the OData client generator that we released 1 month ago as part of the SDK for JavaScript. In the SDK for continuous delivery, or the continuous delivery toolkit, and the new versions there, we have also exciting new features like the support for projects built with the Cloud Application Programming Model. This has now been finalized, and soon those will also be projects with this structure will also be generated by, for example, SAP Web IDE, so that you can directly use the continuous delivery pipeline out of the box that the SAP Cloud SDK provides to continuously test and deliver those applications to SAP Cloud Platform. We've also made the concept for extending the pipeline generally available, so that you can adapt this out-of-the-box pipeline to your needs and still benefit from the pipeline out of the box, where you don't need to implement anything but can extend to your needs. We've extended a few capabilities that were already there in the past. For example, the SAP UI5 best practices, linting that automatically checks your UI5 code, which is now applied not just for one front-end component, but as many as you have in your projects. These are the highlights of the SDK. It's obviously much more, and if you want to see it in action and you're still planning what you're going to do in the autumn of this year, I just wanted to also take the opportunity to make you aware of all the SDK sessions that we are hosting at this year's SAP TechEd. So at SAP TechEd 2019 in all the 3 locations, you'll find also plenty of sessions about the SAP Cloud SDK, about S/4HANA extensibility in general, the SDK for JavaScript, how to use it in Extension Factory or with the Cloud Application Programming Model, the continuous delivery toolkit, and the support for DevOps that the SDK offers will be a big topic, and much more. So be sure to check out the SDK sessions in the 3 locations. And if you have already registered for TechEd, put those on your agenda. If you're planning to attend, register now for any of those TechEd locations. That's what's new in the SDK and an outlook into what's coming next month and later with SAP TechEd. Having said that, I now want to introduce or hand over to Elisabeth for the topic of today, SAP Cloud Platform Extension Factory. Over to you, Elisabeth.
Hi, thank you very much, Henning, and I'm very pleased to join you all here in today's call. I work in product management within the SAP Cloud Platform core team, and I'm responsible for the extension factory together with colleagues and also for enterprise messaging. So in today's presentation, I'm going to be touching on the end-to-end extensibility scenario, touching on the extension factory, enterprise messaging, and also CAP. Just an organizational question here, Henning. I'm not that familiar with Zoom. You're currently showing the slide deck. Will you click through or will you stop sharing and I share? How does that work?
I'll stop sharing and let you take over.
I wasn't entirely sure how this is best done, so please bear with me. Okay. So, I've just lost my Zoom. Join meeting. Oops. Apologies, I've just got technical issues.
So I see you in the list of panelists, so you should be able to share.
I dropped out. I'm having technical issues right now. Oops.
Would you see the screen still if I share the slides at least? I think we, for the moment, lost Elisabeth, but hopefully she'll be able to log in again. Apologies for the slight delay, so I think we also have a bit of spare time, hopefully, so that this shouldn't be a big issue. Let's give her a second to reconnect.
I apologize. I'm back online, but I have got technical issues just now. Henning, perhaps you can share the slides?
Yes, I'll do that. Perhaps, hopefully for any demo, we can restore that. But for now, I can share, of course, the slides.
Okay,
if you just let me know.
So this has been working perfectly all afternoon. Okay, otherwise I can try and share again. I'll say yes. And I will share my slides. My screen, okay, share. And this is all going so well today, okay.
Works now, we can see
your screen. It's working now, okay, perfect. I'm trying to keep my cool, okay. So, here we go. Okay, so without losing too much additional time, can everyone see?
Yes, we do.
Okay, perfect. So today I'm here to talk to you about the extension factory concept and how it enables the intelligent enterprise. We'll then talk about extensions and in particular an event-driven approach. Obviously, not all extensions have to be event-driven. They can also be with APIs. But here we're going to be looking at the enterprise messaging service and its central event bus and the role it plays when it comes to event-driven extension applications. Then I'm going to show you a short demo about how it's possible to extend SAP S/4HANA Cloud. We'll be looking at a business partner create event as an example. And then I shall be talking about some of the development flexibility for you, and then a short summary to wrap things up. So before we lose connectivity again, and I have issues again my side, I shall get started. Okay, so the main question is, how does the extension factory enable the intelligent enterprise? Well, the SAP Cloud Platform Extension Factory is SAP's central extensibility framework. And it's been designed to make it as easy and efficient for you as possible to really extend all SAP lines of business and back-end systems in a way that's both secure and standardized. So this means that you can enjoy the benefits of the intelligent enterprise. But what does this mean exactly? Well, to enable the intelligent enterprise, your cloud solutions need a consistent end-to-end experience. And this can be done by building lightweight, event-driven and API-based extension applications that can communicate with the digital core and vice versa. So it's about keeping your data working between the two different environments all the time. And one of the main strengths of the extension factory is lying in allowing you to extend the core in a clean way that's also non-disruptive. So this does away with the risk of slowing down or compromising key business processes. So that's one of the biggest advantages of using the extension factory. So here's a quick overview of our value proposition with the extension factory. So it's fully integrated in the SAP Cloud Platform cockpit and also within SAP C/4HANA Foundation. And it provides you with a really standard and secure access to all SAP lines of business and backend systems so you can extend the digital core in the easiest, most efficient and most secure way possible. I'll be showing you this later in our demo. It fully supports extensibility scenarios by providing really easy discovery and consumption, not only of events, but also of APIs right across the whole of SAP solution base. So later on, I'll be showing you a demo of how we can extend the core functionality of SAP S/4HANA Cloud. And importantly, the extension factory further streamlines communication between your core and your extension applications by introducing a central event bus, which enables asynchronous, that's non-blocking communication of messages and events right across from the digital core to your extension applications. Okay, so here's the vision that we have for the extension factory. And as I said before, it is the extensibility framework through which all SAP solutions will be able to be extended with particular ease. And so regardless of the line of business, it provides secure and managed connectivity between the platform and the LOBs you can see here on the left of our graphic. So it'll enable you to connect to SuccessFactors, SAP S/4HANA Cloud, SAP C/4HANA, and SAP Concur, to name just a few. And midterm, the extension factory vision also sees that we'll provide similar support for third-party solutions as well. So all to make sure that secured and managed connectivity can be achieved as easily and efficiently as possible for development. So if we take a closer look at the framework itself, we can see that it supports two domain-specific admin UIs today. The one, as I mentioned earlier, is the SAP Cloud Platform cockpit, and the other is the SAP C/4HANA cockpit. So it really is an integral part of these two elements. And soon this is also going to be extended with an additional UI and with its integration with the SAP SuccessFactors extension factory. So this will be really extended over time as well. So it's not just the extension center, but also further UIs that will be added here too. If we move one level further down below the extension factory, we can see that central management plane, and this is really the heart of the extension factory, and it provides secured app connectivity. It also provides the central access to API and event registry and discovery, and also service management and consumption. So it's really key to the entire extension factory, and make sure you have the most easiest and central access to all the APIs and events, regardless of where they actually originate from. So this should make life a whole lot easier. And the extension factory will support different runtimes of choice, and this could be Kubernetes, Cloud Foundry, ABAP, or indeed serverless. So this is for greater flexibility. And like we said, one event bus, this is one level further down, based on our SAP Cloud Platform Enterprise Messaging Service. It's possible to really ensure that we have efficient end-to-end communication between back-end systems and your extension applications, and to really send your events securely between these different environments. So that really is for the easiest way of integrating and extending your SAP solutions. And if we look at the infrastructure of choice, we can say that we follow the overall SAP Cloud Platform strategy, and we currently support the Amazon Web Services, and also Google Cloud Platform, and Microsoft Azure, and Alibaba Cloud will also follow in here too. So the extension factory, the vision is being implemented more and more today, and it's providing gradually more and more flexibility for you as development colleagues, and will bring quite a lot of efficiency and ease of use when it comes to building SAP extensibility solutions. Okay, so let's now talk about extensions and the event-driven approach. Like I said right at the beginning, not all extensions are necessarily event-driven. They can also be API-based. But today, for the sake of this demonstration I'm going to be showing you later, we're looking at the event-driven side of it. Okay, and event-driven extension applications are important because it means that they're responsive and they can react directly to changes as and when they happen in an underlying system. And the enterprise messaging service is used here to ensure that events, which is a specific type of message and hence the name of the service, can be transported between the LOB solutions that you can see here on the left-hand side, and with your extension applications in an asynchronous and non-blocking way. So it's all about extending your lines of business, extending the digital core without actually interrupting anything or disrupting it, and making sure that there's a seamless communication between the extension applications on the one hand and the lines of business on the other. Okay, but you might be asking, what is an event? It's quite a term that's used broadly right now, but not everyone knows exactly what we mean. So it's a specific type of message used to communicate a significant change of state in the system. That's probably the best definition that we can come up with in our context here. And so, for example, whenever a business partner object or sales order is created or changed in an underlying system, a created, changed, or deleted event can be sent from the LOB system to enterprise messaging, where it can then be forwarded on to your extension application. In this way, you can really keep an overview in your cloud extension application exactly what's happening in the underlying line of business and your digital core. And to safeguard performance when we talk about this communication, it's important to say that events are not communicated directly between sending and receiving systems and applications necessarily point to point, but rather through a dedicated event bus that's provided by the enterprise messaging service. So this makes it much more scalable when it's implemented. So let's have a quick look at our central event bus. So the event bus really is essentially used to decouple communication between your digital core and your extension applications built in the cloud on SAP Cloud Platform. And so publishers like SAP S/4HANA, HANA Cloud, SuccessFactors, they can publish an event to the enterprise messaging service, which then in turn is responsible for ensuring that these events are received by subscribing applications. And this ensures that the end-to-end communication takes place in a really secure manner. We use the publish and subscribe model here to ensure that all events can be sent and then received by all the relevant subscribers. So you can be sure not to miss out on any business critical data that's being sent backwards and forth. And like I mentioned, because we don't need to rely on direct communication between senders and receivers, the whole communication really fans out and becomes really very scalable and really ensures that performance stays as best as it possibly can. So that's really key to the enterprise messaging event bus that we talk about in this context. So now we're going to look at an extensibility use case. Today, we're going to be looking at one for S/4HANA Cloud extensibility supported by the Extension Factory. I think we've talked about enough of the theory for now, so I'm going to show you a short recording. It's a simple extension application which displays new business partner events as and when they're created in the underlying SAP S/4HANA Cloud system. And we've chosen the business partner object here simply for practical reasons, but the process would be very similar for building extensions based on other APIs and events too. So when I show you the extension application, I'm then also going to show you the different configuration steps that we need to perform using the Extension Factory within the SAP Cloud Platform cockpit, how we do event enablement in the S/4HANA Cloud system, and what we also need to set up on the enterprise messaging side to ensure that the messaging client is there to receive our business partner created events. So I'm just going to leave the slideshow, and I've prepared a short recording for you. Okay, so I'm going to start by showing you a simple extension application that shows us the incoming events as and when a new business partner is created in the S/4HANA Cloud system. You can simply click on the event to display the business partner details below. You can also see the topic to which the event has been published. We'll look into this in further detail later, but it basically gives you a real-time overview of the business partners that are newly created as and when that happens in the underlying system. And so you can decide for yourself then how and when you want the app to respond, or any administrators as well. So it really is giving you this responsiveness in your extension applications. So now to the configuration steps. The first part we need to do is in Cloud Platform. I'm in our global account and I need to go to Systems. This is the integration with the Extension Factory. I type in a name for our S/4HANA Cloud system. It's a demo. And here we can choose the type of system that we want to register. It generates an integration token that we're going to use within the S/4HANA Cloud system to maintain our extension and enable the system. So this is really to get the communication set up between the S/4HANA Cloud system and the SAP Cloud Platform. And it really onboards the systems in a really time-efficient and secure manner via the token. As you can see in just a few moments, it changes from enabling to enabled, all virtually automatic behind the scenes without us having to do any admin steps. So this is one of the main benefits of the Extension Factory. So now we've done that, I go back to the Cloud Platform, and we're now going to create the service instances we need for the SAP S/4HANA Cloud extensibility service. So I'm going to my dev space within the Cloud Platform, and by the service marketplace, I can call up the S/4HANA Cloud extensibility tile. For additional LOBs, there'll be corresponding tiles here too. Here we have an overview of the different service plans supported. I'm going to create an instance of 008 because we're interested in the business partner integration. So we're going to activate the business partner integration. We're just going to browse to a JSON that's been prepared for our extension application, where it sets up the communication arrangement name and our system name. You don't need to remember all of this. It's included in the documentation that we can send to you after this call. And then all I need to do is enter an instance name. And I would always recommend entering a speaking name. So here, Extension Factory Business Partner Integration for the sake of our example. So that's the first service plan instance we need to create. So that takes care of the business partner integration side. But now we need to create a second instance. This time it's for the event integration via enterprise messaging. So I choose 92, again the system. Again, I've prepared a JSON file with all the different parameters set up for our extension application. You don't need to remember all of this. It's provided as examples. And then all I need to do is enter an instance name. Again, a speaking name is always advisable. So Extension Factory Business Partner Event. and I choose Next. So that really showcases the time advantages brought to you by the extension factory. Now what we're going to show you is the event enablement side within the S/4HANA Cloud system. This is always required regardless of whether you're working with the extension factory or not. So you go into manage your solution and then configure your solution. I call it event handling. And maintain event topics in my S/4HANA Cloud system, so I choose configure. I enter the name of the channel that I maintained in my JSON parameters when I created the service plan. It's business partner channel in this example. And here I can go to new entries and I'm going to select the business partner event that I want to have fed through to my extension application on the cloud platform. So it's business partner created. So I just need to select this here. So that's the S/4HANA Cloud side. Now we've done event enablement in S/4HANA Cloud, we can go back to the cloud platform. And this time for our event bus, we need to create a service plan, an instance for enterprise messaging. We're using an event bus at sub-account level for maximum flexibility. So we choose the default service plan. Again, this is all documented. I've prepared, again, a JSON parameter file, which I simply upload. It outlines the namespaces and the inbound filters, outbound for publishing and subscribe that we use in our scenario. So now all I need to do is enter an instance name. This will be replicated on the UI, and it basically is the name of the messaging client that will consume the events as and when they come in. That takes a couple of moments. So that's created. Now that we've done this, we're now going straight to the enterprise messaging setup. Again, this is not specific to the extension factory. We need this for the event bus. So now I go to my sub account. I've subscribed the application, so I can go straight there. Here's the name of the messaging client that we've just created in the service plan creation. The JSON parameters are replicated here on the UI. I create a queue. We enter the queue name business partner queue. Again, a speaking name really is always advisable. So we're interested in the business partners that are going to be placed in the queue. I press create. It tells us what the final queue name would be. So it adds on the namespace. And now we need to set up a subscription. And this will ensure that all the events that are sent to as topic are actually picked up here. So I go back to my parameters and I take the published filter. I enter it here. And all I have to do is change the hashtag to an asterisk and say add. And so this really covers the setup on the enterprise messaging side. I'll be sharing this with you at the end of the call, the end-to-end recording. We also have a how-to guide provided for you as well with examples of the JSON files, which is also in the documentation. So there's no need to really look into the details right away, but it's something that you can have a look at in your own time. So if I go back now to the overview, and I can give you a quick recap of what we've actually seen now in this demo. First of all, to showcase the extension factory, we, in the first step, created an integration token for the S/4HANA Cloud system. And then we switched to our S/4HANA Cloud system, where we simply entered the token that was automatically generated for us by the cloud platform. And that enabled us to really register the S/4HANA Cloud to the cloud platform. We didn't cover step 3, which is also a necessary step. This is just about how to manage entitlements, but this is standard SAP Cloud Platform procedure. So this is also included in the how-to guide. So the next step we covered in our demo, we went to our sub-account in the Cloud Foundry environment, where we created an instance of the SAP S/4HANA Cloud Extensibility service. And we did that with the communication arrangement 0008 for the business partner integration. And then we did the same, this time for event enablement integration with enterprise messaging using the communication arrangement 0092. So this was the time savings that are available using the extension factory, really making the communication between these systems and the integration with the APIs and events much, much easier than it has been previously. Once we'd done that, we went back into our S/4HANA Cloud system. where we did the event handling directly in the system. This is specific to S4 and not to Extension Factory. This is something you would always have to do to enable event handling. Once we'd done that, we looked specifically at our event bus provided by Enterprise Messaging, and we created an instance of the service. That was when we created our messaging client to take receipt of the events as and when they come in from the S/4HANA Cloud system. Once we'd created the messaging client, I showed you in the UI how we create a queue and also do the queue subscriptions, really to make sure that this end-to-end communication is guaranteed without any business critical events getting lost on the way. So that was a recap of what we saw in our short demo. Again, on this slide, I just wanted to provide you an overview of the service plans that are currently available for S/4HANA Cloud. This list is growing, but you can see here again, we use the 008 plan for business partner integration and also 0092 for enterprise event integration. So that just gives you another summary there. Okay, so now let's perhaps talk about the development flexibility that the Extension Factory concept brings to you now. And it really does bring key benefits for development. So the Extension Factory really saves you time and effort, as we showed you in our short demo, by providing a really fast and secure standard way of extending and configuring extensions for the all SAP solutions. In today's example, we looked at SAP S/4HANA Cloud, but it would be a simpler procedure for SuccessFactors and for further LOBs moving forward too. Thanks to a central catalog of services, APIs, and events, it really makes it much easier for you to extend all SAP solutions in a much shorter turnaround by giving you really direct access to all the APIs and events that you want to consume and use in your extension applications. So that makes it a lot easier not having to go into different sources to check what's available and what you can actually use and implement. It provides real development flexibility for you regarding the infrastructure, the runtime, and indeed also the programming models that you want to use with serverless technologies too. So I said at the beginning, the SAP Cloud Platform Extension Factory is an integral part of the Cloud Platform, and as such it follows the overall SAP Cloud Platform strategy when it comes to supporting different runtimes. So at the moment we have it on Cloud Foundry, and so that's with Amazon Web Services. The C4HANA Foundation side of the Extension Factory also supports Google Cloud Platform and Azure, and so they're bringing these two visions together, and the runtime of choice will grow for you. Okay, so we wanted to touch a little bit on how the cloud application programming model can also help you and make your life easier when you want to develop extension applications. And this really makes it easier when you want to take a full stack approach, but with minimal administrative overhead and maximum guidance. And the CAP programming tool, it provides tools, languages, and libraries that's really aimed at making the whole extension process much more straightforward and simpler for you as developers. So one of the biggest benefits overall of CAP and using it in this context is that it guides you through many best practices, meaning you can focus your time and attention on the domain knowledge that you have and you want to implement, rather than being tied down by technical discipline. So it's all about making the life for developers a lot more easy and straightforward to really facilitate the work that you do, to make it much easier to extend standard SAP LOBs. So all of this means that you can build extensions quickly, easily, and securely, depending on your own preferences. So here I just wanted to include this slide just to highlight some of the further benefits to you if you want to use the cloud application programming model. So we've touched on the efficient and rapid development. Also important to stress minimal complexity through the different models and code that you can use. And importantly, there's no lock-in to specific language database or indeed tools. And it provides built-in security and other enterprise quality. So this is available for you end-to-end when you want to build extension applications on the cloud platform using Extension Factory and enterprise messaging. So as a summary, I think if there's one key statement to take away from today's call, it would be that the SAP Cloud Platform Extension Factory really is the go-to cloud-native extensibility framework for the intelligent enterprise. And so what we really provide is standard, easy and secure access to all the different SAP LOB solutions. Through the integration with the SAP Cloud Platform cockpit, you can easily register your systems, start using the APIs and events available from these systems, and really use those to build on your extension applications. And thank you to the enterprise messaging service. We can use one event bus to really improve communication and really safeguard the performance both of your core and of your extension applications. So that's what I wanted to share with you today on the Extension Factory. So thank you very much for your time and listening.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Elisabeth.
And
Jamie, sorry.
Did you have anything to?
So then I would quickly highlight, having seen what Extension Factory does, how it simplifies the connectivity administration and building of extensions, I would quickly want to highlight how the SAP Cloud SDK then works together with that. As Elisabeth just outlined, with Extension Factory, you have the central place where you register your systems, where you also connect to the systems. And now the question is, of course, in my code, how do I actually interface with Extension Factory? How do I talk to the systems registered in this manner with the Extension Factory? And of course, the SAP Cloud SDK as the tool set of choice for integrating these or communicating to those SAP solutions has you covered there as well. You probably know from the times before Extension Factory that we of course provide, for example, support for the SAP Cloud Platform Destination Service, where you could manually register systems. With Extension Factory now automating this process, we've of course also adapted the support here so that you can on the one hand call systems connected to Extension Factory and the enterprise messaging and reactory messages supplied by enterprise messaging. So I would now want to quickly walk through the SDK for Java and JavaScript and briefly outline how you would access systems connected via SAP Cloud Platform Extension Factory. Let's start with the SDK for Java, and here I'm already talking about the newest version, version 3, as mentioned before, released last week. Here it is as simple as with all the other variants and other versions. You can just access Extension Factory in the same manner as you would access a destination from the destination service, which you probably already know. So if you have a call like this one exemplified down here, where you talk to the business partner service of the S4HANA system, registered this SAP communication scenario 0008 that was mentioned before, you just continue to use also the OData virtual data model of the S4HANA Cloud SDK to retrieve business partners. And now when executing this call, you supply the destination to which to connect to, and here you can just use the destination accessor, which is the central place in version 3 to get access to those downstream systems, in this case get a destination that actually represents the service connected by SAP Cloud Platform Extension Factory. So suppose you have registered an S4HANA system under the name My S4HANA, you can just, and done this via Extension Factory, you can just get this destination as you would any other destination and supply it when calling this OData service for the business partner. The only thing that this requires is that you register Extension Factory at the startup of the application, where you have to specify that you want to include Extension Factory in the list of places where the application should look for destinations. If you just want Extension Factory, you can also simplify this. This code snippet here assumes that you still want to continue to also access the environment variable for loading destinations for example, locally, and that you still want to have access to the destination service on SAP Cloud Platform. If you don't want to do this, you can even simplify this and just refer to the Cloud Platform Extension Factory destination loader that you see here. And what this will now do is, when you see a destination like this, it will first look into the service instances provided by Extension Factory and try to load a destination from there if it's available. So it will look into the corresponding environment variable and use the one provided by Extension Factory, so that in your code you can use this code snippet that you have seen here. In version 2 of the SDK for Java, it looks quite similar. I've included this here for your reference purposes, although I would of course recommend that you start with version 3 of the SDK once you are, if you are starting a new application. And in the SDK for JavaScript, it even looks a bit easier because you don't have to register. It's already registered out of the box, because here we were able to include this as a default behavior. So out of the box, when you build an application with the SDK for JavaScript, you will be able to refer to destinations provided by Extension Factory in the same manner, or to do S/4HANA systems connected by Extension Factory in the same manner. Instead of referring to a destination here, you refer to the service with its name, in this case again my S/4HANA as the name for the service that you have connected here, which represents the S/4HANA system, and the SDK will automatically take care of looking up this service instance from SAP Cloud Platform Extension Factory and will use this destination, or this as in place of the destination. So that's on a high level how you use it with the SDK for JavaScript. Of course, there are in the SDK in general, and the SDK also for Java, additional capabilities that work very well together with Extension Factory and the Cloud Application Programming Model, where the SDK is included. For example, the messaging integration, where you can then react to the events that come to your application after you have connected it, as seen before, and use the message virtual data model that we have provided there as well to establish this connection. That's on a high level how to use the Extension Factory together with the SAP Cloud SDK for JavaScript and for Java. You've seen hopefully that this just works as designed and out of the box, which concludes also this part here, which leads me to the end of the presentation for today. Of course, if there are any open questions, I'm happy to answer those as well if you just paste them into the chat. I think, Jamie, there was one question in between that you already answered, where to get the access to the presentation afterwards, right? Those will be hosted on the community call page together with the recording.
Yes, that's correct. So we'd like to invite all of our attendees to ask any questions in the Q&A panel now for any of the content that you've seen today, or any questions you might have for the product team. Okay, we'll go ahead and leave the line open for another couple minutes. If you want to ask your questions, again, go ahead and please use that Q&A panel. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and close out in maybe 2 minutes if we don't see any questions coming in.
There's one question come in. Is it possible for me to try everything you've shown just by accessing the available trial versions? When it comes to the extension factory demo that I showed you, it's not available on trial. You would need to have an SAP Cloud Platform global account in factory, so productive. Also to Rui, would you have anything to add there?
I would add it's here. It's in general not possible to try it out on trial simply because there is no trial option currently for S/4HANA Cloud itself. And usually when it comes to extensibility, when you have a trial account, you need to connect then a trial version of the LOB solution.
Yeah, thanks, Ina. And maybe just a comment from my side, if we don't have any questions. So in case you are wondering how this all fits together, and we also just briefly touched the cloud application programming model. Also check out on SCN what DJ Adams is doing with regards to the cloud application programming model, and also explaining how it can be used. So just as an additional hint to all of you who are interested in the development part of the story.
There's one more question in there. Hi, or thank you for the presentation. You're very welcome. Will Kafka be part of Enterprise Messaging Service, or will Enterprise Messaging Service be one-stop shop for event messaging by any framework in future? We have the SAP Cloud Platform Enterprise Messaging Service, and it's integrated with the extension factory. There is no direct integration with Kafka, no. It uses different messaging brokers in the background to really make the whole eventing story as straightforward as possible for developers who are using the enterprise messaging service. So it very much hides much of the complexity and much of the setup. So that's the advantage that the enterprise messaging service brings to developers. Jamie, you wrote there is one question in Q&A. Is there one more in the list down here, or?
No, it was the one that you just answered.
Okay, it's the one I answered. Okay. So Vishnu, does that answer your question sufficiently with regard to enterprise messaging and what this enterprise messaging service offers to you today? Okay. Thank you. Other than that, I would like to perhaps to say that we will be rolling out an SAP community page focusing on the extension factory extensibility concepts. There'll be some new blogs published there soon, and we'll also use this as a central landing page for sharing information with you all around the topic of the extensibility extension factory. So look out for that soon.
Okay, fantastic. I want to thank all of our panelists for their time today, and for all of the attendees. Thank you so much for joining. And please be on the lookout. As I mentioned, the recording and supporting materials and presentation will all be shared likely later this week. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.